I'm Griffin, born and raised. I moved away after graduating from Griffin High School in 2016. I went to Griffin Christian Elementary as a child, and then in middle school, I went to Callum Road because they were able to give me gifted classes and honors classes and allow me to kind of start taking high school classes earlier. And then from there, I went to Griffin High School. So really loved Griffin High School, and Griffin High is actually kind of what led me to aerospace engineering. I always knew I wanted to be in STEM, and I knew I wanted to be obviously with something space related, but I didn't quite know what exactly. So yeah, you could kind of pick a path. So I picked the engineering path, and my engineering teacher that was there at the time, his name was Mr. Harper. Still have great friends with him because he just did so much for me and taught me so much and kind of led me. But he had started a robotics team, and I was on that team for, I think, all 4 years. And I also just went down that engineering path, which allowed me to take engineering classes and kind of explore. Their main goal was to just give us hands-on experience with engineering type projects while also exploring the different types of engineering. So I remember one day in class, aerospace engineering was brought up, and I was like, that sounds really cool. And I've always loved to build things with my dad and my grandfather, and I've always loved to work on things and ask questions about how things are made. So that's why I initially did that engineering route. But then it was when I was in that class that I heard the term aerospace engineering and went and looked into it and fell in love with it. So, and it's been kind of a difficult route to get here, I'm not going to lie. My aerospace engineering degree was not easy. It was very, very difficult. So I think the first 2 years I really struggled in aerospace engineering because the math was very difficult. There was a ton of it. Every single class I was taking was just math and physics overload. So for the first 2 years, I kind of had to fight my way through and really had to learn how to truly study and challenge myself and get tutoring and work hard. And then once I kind of figured out what worked best for me, I started really accelerating. So where I really started, I guess, accelerating was my junior year of college. I received my first internship with Larson Motorsports. Worked there for 2.5 years as a jet propulsion engineer. Got to work on really cool jet engines that actually were turned into race cars. So that was amazing. And so I did that, got a lot of hands-on experience, loved it. And then they actually gave me my first, I guess you could say, NASA title. So they had another nonprofit organization called Blazing Trails, and Blazing Trails partnered with NASA Hunch to create or to basically reinvent one of their educational programs called Rockets to Race Cars. And they knew, I guess, I would be the perfect fit to be the spokesperson for it. So I became an educational host of the NASA Hunch program and got to teach students just about how NASA has affected us and technology and our race cars performance and all that kind of stuff and how they all mesh together. And then from there, I graduated, and I was actually on the NASA robotics team too for my senior year. So I'd already kind of started plugging myself into places. From there, my senior year, I graduated and I stayed at Florida Tech. Now I'm in my mechanical engineering graduate program that I'm in right now. And that's when I really just began to accelerate. I was able to just start completely fresh. I was making great grades. And so I landed my first internship at NASA. So I started there in their microgravity lab, performing basically mechanical engineering research with bioorganisms and cells. So that was pretty cool. I loved it, but still wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. But I did love the fact that I was at NASA, and that was incredible. But that basically segued me into my second internship. So my second internship was considered a contracting internship. So it's not directly NASA, but it's a contractor for NASA. And that's when I became a part of the Exploration Ground Systems team, which I'm on now. And that's what led me into the job that I have now as a ground integration engineer. So basically a lot of internships kind of led up to this moment of becoming an engineer for NASA. And I'm still a contractor, but doing, NASA's work on the mobile launcher, for the rocket and all that kind of stuff. So if my advice was to go to any kind of student out there of any age, my number one advice would be to get experience in any kind of way, because you never know what that experience is going to lead to. And experience is really, really big in any kind of industry. So school is so incredibly important. I wouldn't have anything that I have without school, and I wouldn't be working one of the coolest jobs ever without it. And I will say, plugging myself in from a young age, I think, is what just kept me so excited. I'm a very passionate person to begin with, but I was already participating in the local science fair in middle school with Cowan Road, and I actually won 3rd place in state in the Georgia State Science Fair in 8th grade with Cowan Road. And that just kind of, me being plugged into those situations at such a young age, just made that fueled me to be more passionate and keep going and drive me to just work harder. Well, I would love to go to the moon. As you know, we are about to launch Artemis 1. It will not have any astronauts on it, but in a couple years it will. So my goal is to go to the moon one day. I would love to be an astronaut. That's my dream. I'm a little bit too young for it right now. I've still got about 10 years of experience that I need. But I would love to be, one of the first women on the moon. That would be my ultimate dream come true. So. And working for NASA is like one of the coolest things ever. I mean, I'm driving to work some days and I'll get stuck behind a rocket on the way to work. Or, I'm surrounded by just all this incredible history, and like there's rocket launches every other day. It's an incredible place to work with lots of really excited, passionate people that care about what they do. Plus you get to help humanity and finding new things for science. But to become an astronaut, that's pretty difficult. I think in the last round of applications, roughly 12,000 people applied. And then they narrowed those 12,000 people down to 100 people to interview. And then from there, they only picked 10 or 15 people. So, you really have to be diverse, very well educated, have lots and lots and lots of experience, and, work well with others and really be a team player. If I'm just being completely and totally honest and truthful, like I said, I struggled in my first 2 years of aerospace engineering. There was a class or two that I did not do well in. There were some classes that I really, really did struggle in. I had to go to lots of tutoring, and I really had to fight for some of my grades in some of those classes. And in the moment, sometimes it might not seem worth it, but that's when you've got to focus on your goal and what you're trying to get to. Because, if my dad says it best all the time, he says, you only fail when you quit. If you have to retake the class, you have to retake the class. That's okay. If you graduate a year late, you know what? That's a year late. That's okay. It's not even technically late. It's on your own time and when you can absorb that information. So don't beat yourself up. I didn't even do well a few years, and, now I'm living my dream. You have to struggle sometimes to learn and to get better and to grow. That's the whole point of life, is to grow and to get better and to learn. So, just keep trying, keep pushing forward. Don't give up, even if you fail. Artemis is the big name of the mission, right? And the reason it's named Artemis is because the original mission that went to the moon, they were called the Apollo missions, right? Those were our first people that we landed on the moon. And Artemis is the sister to Apollo. So that's why this mission is named Artemis. And the rocket is actually named the Space Launch System, so the SLS. And the reason it's just so big is because it's the first time that we're sending people back to the moon in over 50 years. So we haven't been back to the moon in 50 years. The shuttle did lots of incredible things. But that's why this mission is so exciting. It allows us to go back to the moon, but this time the plan is to go there and to stay there and to create a presence there and to live there, and then to go on to Mars from the moon. So that's why this is such a big mission. It's so important. Not to mention it'll put the first woman on the moon, and so that'll be really exciting too. Yeah, so I was working in the Launch Control Center. I was supporting the mission management team. So these are basically your mission managers, your people that are in charge, the top people in charge of the rocket, in charge of the Orion capsule that carries the astronauts, in charge of the ground systems, and just the whole thing. So these are all your top people. And basically, those are your people making those big decisions of, are we ready to go for launch or not? My goal was to support them in whatever they needed. So just to help them throughout their day with any issues, problems, console help, anything like that. This is a completely brand new rocket, which is also why it's kind of taking us a lot more testing right now, because obviously it's never been launched. So this is brand new. We're doing brand new tests, brand new experimentation. We're finding new problems that we've never had before, which is normal. With engineering, that's just kind of how it goes. So that's why this is also so big. It's a brand new rocket. It has, which it kind of is cool. It has used some shuttle items in it that have either been made to be better or kind of renewed in a sense, like the engines. But on the whole, it's a brand new rocket. So yeah, I think I would like to share. Even though you're in a small town, and I love that small town with my whole heart, I miss it so much. My entire family's still there. I still come home a lot. I still spend my holidays there. But just because you're in a small town, don't believe that you can't do big things. You are able to achieve whatever you set your mind to and whatever you work to. And I would say go for opportunities that you think you might not even qualify for, because that's what I did. And doors were opened that I thought would never be opened.